This is the story of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, how destined rivals became the greatest of friends. There is a saying that opposites attract. I'm sure many of us can say that we have friends who might be different than us, perhaps even holding opposing views or personalities, that we are friends with anyway because we enjoy their company and because they help enhance our own strengths. This was also the case in ancient times, and was a central theme in the earliest written story known to humanity, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which focuses much on the friendship between the civilized king Gilgamesh and the wild man Enkidu. But how did this dynamic duo first meet? Let's find out in today's story. Long ago, when mankind's first civilization had emerged in Mesopotamia, the city-state of Uruk was ruled by the great and powerful King Gilgamesh. While Gilgamesh certainly protected the city with his strength and bravery, he also bullied and exploited his people. The people of Uruk prayed to the gods, and the gods agreed that Gilgamesh had to be taught a lesson. And so, they set about creating a rival perfectly matching his strength to oppose the tyrannical king. The goddess Aruru thus creates Enkidu, a creature as strong as Gilgamesh, but his diametric opposite. You see, while Gilgamesh is a civilized man of urban society, Enkidu lives as a wild man, a hairy primitive who lived among the wild animals, drinking with them from rivers and grazing on wild grasses. Because of this, Enkidu is sometimes depicted as having traits of a bull, whereas sometimes he's just a hairy, wild-looking man. One day, a hunter in the wilds spots Enkidu and rushes to Uruk to tell Gilgamesh about the wild man. Intrigued, Gilgamesh sends a sacred prostitute named Shamat to go investigate. Shamat finds the wild Enkidu, and while he cannot speak, she manages to seduce him. Enkidu and Shamat spend 2 weeks together, and in this time, Shamat teaches the beast of a man how to speak, and about civilized society and how it functions. Enkidu is amazed, but is broken-hearted when he now finds that his animal friends now flee when they see him. Beauty has tamed the beast, and Enkidu has successfully been domesticated. He can no longer return to the innocent, animal-like life he once lived. One night, Shamat tells Enkidu of Gilgamesh and his strength, and convinces the formerly wild man to go and fight him. Enkidu heads towards Uruk. Along the way, Enkidu stops and spends time with shepherds, learning to eat and drink as humans do, and protecting their flocks from wolves and lions. Meanwhile, back in Uruk, Gilgamesh has several dreams that foretell of the arrival of Enkidu, an enemy crafted by the gods to defeat and humble him. Finally, the day of their meeting comes. On that day, Gilgamesh goes to exercise an ancient kingly rite that allows him to sleep with a bride on her wedding night. Very civilized. And at the same time, Enkidu arrives and blocks his path. Gilgamesh tells him to get out of the way, and in more or less words, Enkidu says, "Make me." Enraged, Gilgamesh grabs Enkidu, and the two begin a hectic brawl, wrestling each other and practically rolling through the streets of Uruk, causing heaps of damage to the city along the way. The fight is long and brutal, but eventually both Enkidu and Gilgamesh find that they cannot make the other party yield. Tired, the two stop fighting and remark at each other's strength and martial prowess. Through commonality and combat, the two decide that to fight again would be a waste, and that they should instead become friends. The two new friends head off to Gilgamesh's palace for some hard-fought food and drinks, and Enkidu imparts on his new friend that he is depressed that he is no longer able to return to his old wild life, living amongst the animals peacefully. To cheer him up, Gilgamesh suggests that the two go on an epic quest to the cedar forests of the northeast to slay the horrifying monster that guards them. Cheered up by the idea, Enkidu accepts, but that, my friends, is a story for another day. Now for today's fact. As mentioned earlier, Enkidu and Gilgamesh are thematic opposites. Gilgamesh represents human civilization, law and order, and potential for growth and progress, whereas Enkidu represents humanity's primitive origins as well as nature's seeming innocence and raw brute strength. This theme of man versus wild is quite common in human literature, and likely reflects the unease and anxiety many humans have when immersed in remote nature, far from civilization's protective influence. Enkidu, like ancient man, is quite literally seduced by civilization's comforts, and after indulging, he cannot return to his primitive innocence. Similarly, mankind's impact on nature is often irreversible, a theme that makes even more sense when we realize that Gilgamesh and Enkidu's next quest is to destroy the guardian of a sacred forest. Thanks for watching. To support our channel and learn more about the myths and legends that inspire us, please like this video and subscribe.